Greetings, fellow DC superfans. After getting educated in all things DCAU Batman, I've decided it's time to embark on a journey to the Arctic to learn about Superman, the animated series. Aiding me along the way is Blue Dragon 5.
That's right, folks. Like Jarrell, I'm serving as Tiki's pre-recorded guide through Superman the Animated Series, the goal of shedding light and showing Tiki the way, to better understand the history of the last son of Krypton.
So let's fly to the Fortress of Recaps and talk Identity Crisis. All right, Dragon. So I imagine this is a big one. I imagine in the kind of like in the fandom of Superman the Animated Series, this is probably a pretty significant episode, and definitely lands for sure. We're continuing our streak of after the weird Mala two-parter being like just just kind of a strange note to start the season on. Honestly, after that two-parter, Dragon, everything has been like really solid. I don't think this episode I still think probably the Jack Kirby Kaiju episode that we got a few episodes ago is my favorite so far, but this just continues the trend, man. It's just a really rock solid episode. It's got some of the best Lex Luthor stuff so far. This might be Lois Lane's best episode so far. I would wager to say Lois is actually the main protagonist of this episode instead of Superman himself, which is an interesting writing choice I'm sure we'll get into. And then I think also, of course, we have the Tim Daly performance where he's basically Dragon. This is the closest we're going to see Tim Daly get to doing Frankenstein's monster, which is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, overall, just another rock solid episode. And this season is really shaping up to be pretty consistent so far.
Yeah, there's a lot of gold in season 2. That's for sure. Yeah, so Identity Crisis, this is a biggie. This was directed by Kurt Gaeta. Of course, this guy was like kind of the go-to Batman Beyond director, so he really got a start in Superman. He did the Last Sun pilot. He did Livewire, which you really liked, and did Stolen Memories, our big Brainiac episodes. This is the guy you go to really carve out the kind of the new definitive canon for Superman. This guy's good at bringing it to life. Our writers on this. So we had Bob Goodman. Bob Goodman did Blackout from Batman Beyond, the Ink introduction episode, and Feeding Time from Superman the Animated Series, the Parasite introduction episode. This is a big one for him. This was like one of the best Superman episodes that he did, Identity Crisis. Now, this so the writing credit on this one's a little intriguing. So it's Bob Goodman and Joe R. Lansdale. So Joe R. Lansdale, he was a writer extraordinaire on Batman the Animated Series. They brought him in for a few. Now, Joe R. Lansdale, he's probably best known as the guy who wrote Bubba Hotep, the movie. That was
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was his big thing. But he did he worked on Perchance the Dream, of course.
Okay.
Well, did Read My Lips, the ventriloquist episode, which is great. And all sorts of Joe R. Lansdale. He loves like 40s-esque dialogue, so that's where he really shines. But he also loves doing the weird stuff, as Bubba Hotep probably illustrates. He did Critters from the new Batman Adventures, with the giant Batman fighting giant praying mantises and giant, bulls.
I actually really quite enjoyed that episode on like a B movie favorite kind of level.
That's what I'm saying. Lansdale, he brings a lot of B movie to it. Now, with the writing credit, so they gave it to Lansdale. Lansdale kind of came to the table with it, but ultimately he couldn't crack the story, and ultimately Bob Goodman kind of picked up the slack on that one. He's like the first to admit it that he tried, and I think conceptually he liked how weird it was, but just in terms of like bringing it back, I think Lansdale kind of unloaded a lot of it to Bob Goodman. Bob Goodman really he brought it home. I want to say Lansdale started it. Bob Goodman, he really brought it home. I think he brought it home tremendously well.
Yeah, definitely.
Studio worked on this was Coco with some gooey square marshmallows of Dong Yang in there. Of course, this is the studio that did Livewire, Feeding Time, and Tools of the Trade. That was the big Dan Turpin episode. So these guys, consistent work. TMS is still the A studio, but Coco and Dong Yang again, one of the definitive studios between all the DCAU stuff. So you can't go wrong. This is an episode where visual distinction is key. So So as far as the episode goes, Bizarro Superman, iconic opposite for not just superheroes in comics, but Superman himself. Like just for sure. Like if you're ever going to do like the inverse, second maybe to reverse Flash, this is the other opposite foe.
Yeah, definitely. He's very much one of the iconic ones for sure.
So Bizarro was really a staple in Superman's history. Bizarro Superman was like a staple in Superman comics in the 50s. The big sci-fi era. Like his creation was originally, yeah, like originally, it was like a duplication ray, and then over the years they made like a cloning project. But essentially, it was always kind of something like that. He was created through kind of B movie, sci-fi, sciency kind of stuff, and then we were kind of like left with the whole multiverse thing with him, where there's a world of Bizarros that he cultivates and all this kind of stuff. So basically, like with a lot of the villains here, the idea is let's take a superpowered character, but mix in kind of what we had from Batman the Animated Series, which was the psychology applied to supervillains that made them so much more interesting. And that's what we did here with Bizarro. We kind of take very much on the surface a very one note gimmick, like okay, he's Superman but backwards. But we added a lot of sympathy for Bizarro in this episode, and that was key.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, like I said, the hidden sauce of this episode is definitely just the that Frankenstein component to it that I keep harping on, but also, again, Dragon, I'm excited to break it down, but I really think this episode shines with the fact that they let Lois kind of be the audience point of view character for a lot of the stuff.
Oh, for sure.
At least as far as humanizing him.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want to mention before we get into it is real quick. So Bizarro in general is a hard nut to crack because we've only seen him live action has tried to do Bizarro time and time again, and we can never quite get it right. There have been very few occasions when we've done it and we've at least taken a legit stab at Bizarro. Superboy the TV show. That was the most accurate Bizarro you'll ever see in terms of that's what he looked like in the hokey era of comics. That was just him in live action in the 80s. That's essentially that's what it looked like, and we couldn't quite crack it in the between Superman 3 and Superman 4 as to what that looked like. So on the small screen they took a stab at like here's what they were trying to do. Let's just full on do it. And it was a fair attempt at it. And then years later, actually, very recently, Superman and Lois, the TV show, they did a very good version of Bizarro in the Bizarro world, and they had a really great take on Bizarro. But it's taken that long to like Bizarro is still something we're trying to do in live action. And here's a news item for you. Like, you know what? I'm going to save it for the podcast. I'm going to save it for the podcast when we actually get to Bizarro. Okay.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah. So all right, let's just get into it. So yeah.
Okay, so we start with basically just like the most generic in a good way montage of just like Superman going around saving people and being a damn good hero.
I love
how,
this.
like it just lulls the audience into a false sense of security, and it's so jovial. It's just like, right, that's Superman. He's such a good guy.
Yeah, so it's we have some kids playing like a power station. Tommy needs help. Superman shows up. It's a very George Reeves moment. He shows up. He sets the boys straight and like extols a moral about you're not there's a strength in not taking dares. And basically it's an anti peer pressure PSA that he gives, and it's just everything that people make fun of Superman for in an opening, and I love that we have that.
Exactly. It's basically like Boy Scout Superman. That really is what it's trying to do for sure.
And I just love that we're playing around with it, where it's just vague enough where it seems like, well, maybe the writing's just not strong, but it's absolutely intentional, and I love it. It's nice, but it's not something we usually spell out this hard in this show. And I just love that the kids make fun of it, which is like that's great. And like, what a dork. It's just this great foreshadow. It's like that something's a little off, but you're not quite sure yet.
Yeah.
And we have this great buildup. I love the buildup where we have a car chase going on here. Just a great, Lois is following a car chase with the cops very recklessly, and we basically Clark Kent, he gets flung out of the car when she takes a bad swerve. And this is a running gag, by the way, in the show. Lois is a terrible driver.
Them women drivers.
Pretty much. I mean, this and honestly, the next episode really get into Lois is just she's very bad behind the wheel.
Oh,
She's got a
man.
very nice car though.
Uh-huh.
Point being, it's a great whammo blammo opening. We're like, okay, Superman. We see Superman stop in costume. He stops the bad guys, and Clark Kent is. We have this POV buildup where we don't know Clark's in that car.
Yeah.
And then just falls out of the car, and then Superman catches him, and this is our trippy, like, this is our trippy perchance the dream moment. This is the what the this is take a wrong turn.
I think Tim Daly he just sells this moment so well, right? Of just like he's just totally baffled by it.
I love this moment so much. Just the reveal of Superman catching a shocked Clark Kent. Take a wrong step, Mr. Kent. It's just like, what? Just it's so I love in the performance. You're right, Dave. I love the performance. You can see in the animation and like the subtlety of the performance that he's just so taken. He's never been saved by himself before, and he's just so weirded out by like, thanks, Superman. It is kind of his dream come true for the alibi with Lois for a moment, but it's like, oh boy.
right.
And it's just, but Superman's like extra earnest and extra corny, and he asks Lois on a date going to dinner and everything. Maybe we should talk about it over dinner. And Lois is like, okay, 8:00 works for me.
Yeah, it's basically just like the best day of Superman's life, essentially.
Yeah, and I love the tragedy though. It's the best day of Superman's life, and it's not going to last. So Clark, he comes up with a bad excuse of, I'm just going to walk off the shock. He says, well, you're miles from nowhere, Smallville. He says, oh, you know us country bumpkins, Lois, 10 miles and all that.
When I was a lad, we had to walk 15 miles to the nearest bus stop.
Conflab it, Lois.
You got to admit that's what my mind went to when I heard that line.
Of course, he's one gag away from saying conflab it.
Right.
Okay, so Superman saves a falling. We see him on a montage here. He's saving a fallen helicopter. He's doing really good things here, but he notices a skin discoloration on his hands, and it's the building dread. So I probably should have mentioned this earlier. One of my favorite things in this episode, and I don't know how I don't think it's intentional. I just think it's like kind of a similar character story, only with a very different hero, and we're approaching it very differently. One of my personal favorite Batman the Animated Series episodes, not the best, but one of my favorites. His Silicon Soul. And that whole episode is marketed off. We have the robot Batman, fighting, the hard act Batman fighting the other Batman. But what gets us there is that, as a kid, that's what I loved about it. It was like Batman fighting Batman, and one's kind of a robot. Isn't that cool?
Sure.
Years later, I mean, my heart breaks for the guy, because what we have here is that the imposter hero genuinely, with every fiber of his being, thinks he's that character and genuinely wants to do good and live up to that.
Yeah. No, it's just the earnestness. It's like seriously, like Tim Daly, man, he really is just giving it his fucking all here with just you could just tell so much. Like Superman is literally this poor thing's like entire identity, not Clark Kent, just the concept of Superman, the man himself. And it's just, oh man, yeah, your heart really does just go out to him. And but anyways, we can I'm really excited to get to the Lois stuff, as you can tell, but we should build to that, obviously.
Oh yeah. So it's just we have the great kind of identity crisis of it all here. So he's starting to notice, like, man, something's kind of off here. And the real Superman he confronts his doppelganger, and they have a great line here. I know you're a busy guy, but I'm dying to get your autograph.
Yeah, I love it.
There's a lot of, as you can probably tell, between
I have one contender. I have one contender that I would like to lay out for the Daily Tim. It's coming up pretty soon.
There's a lot of good. It's hard to pick this one though, isn't it? Because there's a lot.
Well, it is. It is just because it's like, like it's tricky, because my Daily Tims are usually like the comedic stuff, but then with the Bizarro stuff, you get a lot of just pathos too. So,
oh yeah.
I have a comedic one, but I don't know. Like you might be able to pick out a better dramatic one.
So the real Superman thinks his doppelganger is like working an angle here, and he's like pointing out like the makeup's coming off, and this freaks out our Superman who's not in the know here, and you feel for him, Again, it's like the hard act Batman here, where he's realizing he has like he's been shot, but he's not bleeding. Like what is going on here? It's the identity crisis. Per the episode title, this is a trick. Answer me. He's trying to get. But what's great about this is Lex's parody of Superman, just based on the surface level too, which is really interesting. Where it's the idea that Superman's quick to charge into action. I don't know how much of that is like Lex's programming versus how much of that is just literally just someone not having like the full rounded personality, just going off of. Well, this is kind of what Superman does, but without the subtlety.
Right, right.
So he thinks it's a trick, and he's trying to beat answers out of the other guy, and just like the self righteousness, but well intentioned though. He's very well intentioned. Devolves into a fight, and then we're starting to see the Superman's kind of on the dim side now that the things are starting to come apart on him. So it's an even match for Superman here, which is also kind of interesting. Where it's kind of an even match. Superman's the other Superman is getting more and more kind of white and monstrous, and we have this great reveal where he's in shadow. The colors of the suit are starting to fade, and I just love like this great shadow, the great shadow reveal, and our Superman, the real Superman, saying, "Well, whoever you are, you don't look
You
so
don't
good."
look so good.
That's your line, right? That's your Daily Tim, right?
No, actually, no.
It's not mine. I just
It's
thought that
good.
one might be
It's
yours.
good.
It is good. Just genuine concern, though, And then we have like the whole, the color thing and shadow, and the music turn. By the way, is great as well. We're kind of darkening.
Oh, I love the music turn. Yeah, just twisting the classic Superman theme on its head.
So he turns around like, "Leave me alone," and it's like, oh god, I love. There's a little. If you really look at him, his face changes between going from the Superman with like white splotches on him to that Superman to then ultimately what Bizarro looks like. But if you really look, the one that says "Leave me alone," that Superman is like that's actually what Bizarro looked like in the comics.
Right, right.
Like Superman with like the craggly face for a second there. I just love that we worked it in there right before the face is transforming. So we reveal Bizarro Superman. How cool does he look?
I mean, just iconic, man. It's just like this is just like as someone who hasn't really watched a lot of like straightforward like episodes of this show before then, like just the occasional one here and there when I was a kid. I think it looks just like it's one of the hallmarks of this show, just as far as just the visual language of it.
You want to hear something really trippy?
Sure.
I could entirely be projecting, but on the rewatch, given the recent news of stuff here, I just feel kind of compelled to bring it up because it just kind of was eating away at me while I was rewatching the episode. Okay, so a few years back, before James Gunn, like right before James Gunn took over, this didn't happen because James Gunn took over. Kevin Smith was trying to put together the DC was doing a live action DC showcase-esque show. Like I think it was called Strange Adventures in DC or DC Strange Adventures or something. It was going to be live action, and it was going to be like about the lesser known characters in the DC universe.
Okay.
And Kevin Smith did it. He wrote the draft and everything. This was going to happen. It was going to be about Jimmy Olsen and Perry White. And he was going to have Miguel from Cobra Kai as Jimmy Olsen. He was going to have John Goodman as Perry White. That's what he was going to line up.
Oh man, how has John Goodman never been Perry White?
Good question. So the idea was that it was Jimmy Olsen and Perry White, and they ended up through like a occurrence of events. They end up in Metropolis, but it's not their Metropolis, like a multiversal thing or something. They have ended up in the Bizarro world, and they meet Superman, but progressively he becomes like looks like Superman, but he's acting weird and he's doing bizarre things. And then ultimately we reveal through the course of the episode, is the special, he turns into Bizarre Superman. So the actor they were looking to get for that was Nick Cage.
Oh man,
Nick Cage was
God.
pretty much he was going to be. And the ending of the thing was going to be a nod to Iron Giant, where it was going to be Superman was off screen, and you would have had Nick Cage Superman looking at Superman with like glee and hope in his heart, just saying Superman. That's what that was.
Okay, seriously, the ending of this episode, like as is pretty goddamn Iron Giant.
I know. I love it, and we'll get there.
Yeah, yeah.
But so here's the trippy thing. Okay, so before us sitting down to do this episode, they've announced it and they've shown the pages, and it's happening this year. They're adapting that script into a comic, and they've done the art style to look like Nick Cage Bizarro Superman. It's called
Oh,
Bizarro
God.
Year One, so they're doing it. They're doing that the special as a comic called Bizarro Year One. So it's just, but looking at this, if you really look at Bizarro Superman, if you really look at him, there's a bit of Nick Cage in there, don't you think?
Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. I can totally see
It's
it. Yeah,
completely coincidental. Now, mind you, I mean, I want to say it's coincidental, but it's so at the time they were making this, Superman Lives was being kicked around because that was in
the time
'96.
period does kind of sync up a little bit. Yeah,
I'm just saying, like this is taking place in '97. All that happens in '96. It is possible that was their inside joke at the making him look like Nick Cage.
exactly.
I just want to. I know that was a lot. I just wanted to get it in there because it just. But seriously, with his design, I love the washed out colors. I love he has like the Cro-Magnon walk with like the inverted knees. It bugs me like you have the OCD over certain things. My OCD here is just like I wish he. I wish the S was backwards, but I know there's no logical reason the S would be backwards yet. If he's just turning into Bizarro, I get it, but it's just still, he's so close. Anyway. But yeah, so Bizarro is voiced by Tim Daly. Tim Daly is Andre Armand had the great idea, like let's have Tim Daly. Whoever voices Superman should also voice Bizarro, and kind of a Jekyll Hyde thing. And what do you think about the performance?
I mean, I just think Tim Daly, just like I said, he absolutely crushes it. I think it's definitely some of the most pathos that we've seen from him so far. It's very Frankenstein's monster. It's very Karloff Frankenstein's monster in its delivery, which is a very good thing. That's high praise for me, I think.
It's interesting you say that because I think in the beginning of Bizarro, I don't think they connected the dots on doing Frankenstein, but in later years, they absolutely saw the Frankenstein potential, and that's what they have. Like Jeff Johns and Richard Donner. Even Richard Donner, he did two comic book he co-wrote two comics with Jeff Johns, and one of them was about Bizarro Superman. And the Bizarro Superman one had like a whole Frankenstein homage. There's a lot of Frankenstein built in there, so it's really, so it's absolutely a place you want to go with the character. And so specifically, this Bizarro is kind of a mix of the '50s, but mostly the John Byrne era, which is pretty much the whole show is kind of like Christopher Reeve Superman. It's very John Byrne influence, which is like when they tried to legitimize things like Ma Kent makes the suit kind of stuff,
Sure.
And in this case, it's like Bizarro, who is a clone instead of just like randomly hit with a bizarre ray or coming from a different universe, kind of thing. So, anyway, but this is all pretty much following the path of there's a lot of John Byrne there. So he's very Frankenstein-like. He's not speaking backwards Bizarro talk yet. I mean, he's kind of, you can tell he's my headcanon on Bizarro here, and they never spell it out, but I think you can kind of tell even in the context of the episode. I think the idea is that his cells cannot process solar energy. That's the Kryptonian thing they couldn't nail in the cloning process was how he processes sunlight, and I think that overcooked him, and that's why he's all white, and that's why that was always a headcanon I had, is that he was basically sun bleached. These literal sun bleached version of a Kryptonian, which is like Earth physiology is not the same as Kryptonian physiology, and that's why that happened. But so he has like the Cro-Magnon walk. He's clearly he's a little touched in the head, so to speak. He's like kind of a closed head injuries, potentially. I don't know. But it's Frankenstein's probably the more apt comparison. But yeah,
but you know what? I do like that. It is fun that and a little bit tragic that like until our Superman fights him, he really is wired to be just basically like a docile, like big blue Boy Scout version of Superman.
Yeah, I mean that's what's so ingenious about it, Tiki, and we see this later on. But I just love that he is. Again, they applied the Bizarro logic where a lot of people kind of roll their eyes. Back in the day, people rolled their eyes at Bizarro because wait, it's too much backwards talk and too much like he's always like getting everything opposite. Because you have to keep track of that. It's a one note gag. And what we've done here is we've kind of taken it a more kind of a more symbolic level, like not symbolic. I'm blanking on the word here, but essentially it's more of a kind of an abstract take on it, where basically it's like, okay, so he's he's trying to be like Superman, but he's not quite getting it right. That's the backwards Bizarro component, where everything he perceives as a crime is actually just something very mundane and like as it's supposed to be. But it's almost like it's very childlike. He's seeing as like, oh no, that bridge is coming apart, or oh no, that guy's destroying this
Right, but
building.
even that judgment doesn't happen until his brain gets scrambled from the fight.
Yeah, which
Like before that happens, he's basically just hardwired to be like, just like essentially like the big blue Boy Scout version of Superman with literal like that people actually complained about, like Superman has no personality and he's just a good guy who does good things. It's like that's the version of Superman that he is.
Yeah, and I love it's almost like a do not compute thing. Like, but there are two Supermen, that's impossible, and that's where the break kind of starts for him. That's where the psychosis comes in a little.
Yeah.
Okay, so they duke it out. Then Bizarro gets away. He tries to figure out what's going on. So instead of going to the Fortress of Solitude, he goes to where he came from, the lab in the mountains. And then we reveal his creator, Lex Luthor. This is a great act break. Me have problem, my friend. I'd call that an understatement. Like, yes. I love how friendly.
Been at the forefront, so it's really cool that he's taking the central focus here.
Yeah, this is one of the great Lex episodes too, as you probably guessed. Again, it's like certain comics. Lex clones Superman. The failed attempt results in Bizarro, which is what we're doing here. And I like it's a grounded way of doing Bizarro versus like having a whole Bizarro world and everything, and just the idea. And we've kind of seen this a little bit with the James Gunn Superman. Now, this one, Tiki, I can say with authority, James Gunn definitely watched this episode for his stuff. He had to have watched the Bizarro Superman episode, because one, everyone loves the Bizarro Superman episode, but two, even if he didn't, I mean, Lex cloning people. This is like the Lex cloning Superman episode.
Sure, yeah.
So he had to have watched this, and makes me just furthermore say again, Ultraman had to have been like Bizarro, or at least hopefully at some point we'll actually give him a name and make him look all screwed up if he comes back.
I wouldn't be surprised, because I feel like they set it up where he gets thrown into that weird pocket dimension or whatever, and it's kind of like, okay, I feel like that could set up to be like he gets out of the pocket dimension, but his face is all messed up.
Wouldn't it be great if the pocket dimension is the Bizarro world, and that's what turns him into like full on Bizarro Superman? Anyway,
be like Mordok, but good.
Do you mean MODOK?
MODOK, yeah, I'm sorry, MODOK, yes.
Yeah.
Where it's like the whole idea with MODOK, which I did think was a good idea on paper, was the original Ant-Man villain just, being stuck in the quantum realm and his face getting all fucked up. I thought that was a good idea on paper. I really did. But they just, obviously, they fucked it up in execution really badly.
Yep.
Anyways.
Okay, so, let's see. So, what I was wanting to get at here is that I love that Lex, he's playing nice with Bizarro, but he's absolutely manipulating him here. But it's great that this is like what Lex wished happened in the pilot episode. If Superman bent to his will, it would be Bizarro. That's how Lex insultingly would see Superman. It's like just like his yes man, like kind of like his his stupid Slavic kind of child that he can make do whatever he wants. And that's essentially, again, it's like that's ultimately kind of like how Lex sees Superman and how he wishes he could manipulate Superman. Really, I mean, look, it's less. We haven't really gotten to the deep-seated hatred that Lex has for Superman quite yet. But this is just more so like Lex, does not respect Superman. He just, Superman is like is the one person in Metropolis that challenges authority, and he can't stand that. And this is just kind of like, if he could manipulate Superman, he would absolutely go like this. So Bizarro is having an existential crisis, and he's very confused. Lex's scientists warned him this would happen in cloning Kryptonian DNA, which they have no idea how it works. There's a lot of trial and error here, and he recommends, like, look, we should just destroy all. We should do the auto-destruct on all of this right now and start from scratch. And he's like, no. We're not. The usual Lex thinking, kind of like we saw in James Gunn's Superman with the whole Rift thing. We're not scrapping the project for one glitch. Just study him for the sake of the others. Like, oh, Lex. Typical. Securing an investment there. So he placates Bizarro. He's saying, like, he's like, but me am Superman. Like, of course you're Superman. He's saying like his memories were programmed into him and everything's will be established here. And again, I'm thinking the sunlight definitely didn't help. So Mercy has a role in this episode. What does she do?
Yeah, she's got the duty of naming Bizarro. But I do like how offhanded it is. I do like how it's basically just like an offhanded, rude remark that sticks.
Yeah, so Mercy, she's just mocking our Superman here, and just this leads to a lot of trouble. And so we have the one pet peeve I have with this episode, just one singular thing. Tiki knows it. I've bored him to tears, but I'm going to tell you, the audience member. It's a little thing.
Oh dear.
I'm just saying, like, the whole thing. We can't have the backwards S. I understand that makes sense, but we have this bit where Bizarro is having his identity crisis. He's looking in the mirror, like we have in our image here, and this is like literally the opportunity where he's looking at a reflection. So we would have one shot where we have the S backwards, and unfortunately, the overseas studio, they screwed that up. There's a regular S. And look,
this
anyway,
is the kind of like animation thing that I would never even think about, honestly.
I'm just saying, it's like it would have made perfect sense.
I love the passion, Dragon. I love the passion.
I'm just like, and again, I love the episode. It frustrates me because I love this episode. It's like one little thing, and I'm looking for like the perfect thumbnail. It's like, there it is, but there's a problem.
Oh man. Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm sorry that it bothers you so much, Dragon.
I'm just saying, it's like it's like the one opportunity we could have had the backward S. I think they gave it to him in Justice League, but it's just still, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the point, I'm saying, in like an episode that's like a testament, this is everything we need to say about Bizarro Superman. Like, that would have been like the one missing like little reference. And it's absolutely doable, and I can tell it was a mistake in the animation studio, because that's a reflection. We know how reflections work.
Anyway. Yes, Dragon, we know how reflections work. It's going to be okay.
Don't talk to me like Lex. I know what this is. Okay, but all seriousness, so Lex is trying to placate him so he can be studied. Mercy's mocking him, and he says, no, me am Superman. Like, no, Bizarro, that's what you am. That's where he gets the name. He gets very hurt by it. And no, me am hero, me show you. So he goes on a patrol to show that he's actually Superman, and he's doing good and everything. Crashes through the roof. This is not what Lex wants, and we have one of the all-time great Lex lines for the whole series.
Oh my god, this is such a good one-liner from Lex. Yeah,
Clancy Brown just nailed this so well, and I no joke. Next to second to the whole like the monologue at the end of Last Son of Krypton Part 3. This is my favorite Lex line in the DCAU, where it says, "That's coming out of your pay." Because you see him kind of seethe. You see like him inhale and exhale. That's coming.
Right.
He knows that Mercy's too valuable, like fire, but it's like, okay, that's coming out of your pay, Mercy.
All right, so this leads into a proper second act of the episode. And Dragon, I have a name for this act. Would you like to know the name for this act?
What is the name for this act, Tiki?
Superman catches a bunch of heavy shit.
Okay.
Tell me I'm not wrong. Tell me I'm not wrong.
I mean, he does. Not the most creative title, but...
No, but honestly, Superman catching heavy shit is like one of my guilty pleasures with Superman. Like,
oh, really? So I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I really do. I like the symmetry of it. I like the physics of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This episode just kind of like hit on the kind of like it was a good sort of dopamine rush for me as far as that goes.
Coco did some really good animation with the physics on this one. They really did.
Yeah, totally.
So Bizarro's on patrol, and he's determined to do good and live up to Superman. This is where the tragedy of the character comes in. He's really, and I love, we the audience, when we're on Bizarro's side, we're rooting for the guy. He's been given a raw deal. He's a puppet. He's a pawn of Lex Luthor's, but he doesn't know it. And he's just he's looking at, but again, he's looking at the world with, the warped Bizarro logic. And I love the whole applying the Bizarro logic versus like literally doing things backwards and like, bad buy and that kind of stuff, like. like saying hello when he leaves, that kind of,
Uh-huh.
So, um, anyway, so again, we have all these foreseen crises. He interprets these crises. Where like he saves a building from a wrecking ball. I love that he grabs the wrecking ball part and he spins. He spins the
Yeah,
crane
just the
around.
physics of this are just like really, really like I don't know. There's something just very visually satisfying about seeing it. You know.
I just love this gag cracks me up, by the way. So he spins it, he throws it, thinking he's done good, like like good job. But meanwhile, Superman's just flying through the city, and he's the look on his face, like, "Oh my god, flying!"
Yep. Yep. Okay,
Oh
so
god,
Dragon, let me set this up.
yeah,
So we see a wedding, and then we
yep.
see a big shadow about to fall on the wedding, and Superman catches the crane at the last second. Everyone's relieved, and Superman is just like, "Don't ask me. I just catch him."
That was your daily tune.
That's my daily tip,
That was that
baby.
was that was mine too. Not counting a Bizarro one. That was my
Really?
regular
Yeah, that's
Superman
my
daily
daily
tip.
tip right
Yes.
there. I love it.
All
I
right.
love it.
Yeah, it's
Don't ask
great.
me. I just catch them.
It's
Because what
such
I
a
love about
perfect
that is
Superman
that it's
line.
like it's a genuinely funny Superman line, but the way that Tim says it is you get that he's like kind of saying it with a hint of like, God damn it, I know what caused this, and I'm
Yep.
annoyed by it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a fantastic Superman saving people moment right there.
All right, this next one's kind of interesting. So he fixes a bridge that's opening for like one of those kind of separating bridges. It's like built for
Uh-huh.
ships, like so like a ships can pass through. So he sees
Did
that
you know
the
that my
bridge.
town has one of these, Dragon?
I have a funny story about the one in my town.
Really? Nice,
It's
nice.
not funny, but it's not a ha ha per se, but it is eerie.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
Okay, so he's trying to fix the bridge here, and ends up like pushing the bridge down, breaking the mechanism, and like heat visioning it together, fusing it together. So about a year or so ago, maybe I think it was last year, might have been 2 years ago. I don't know with all the year. I think it was last year. Um, we we don't have a bridge anymore because
Oh
Superman did not
no.
save us from this.
Oh no. Oh
Yeah,
no.
and this is a bridge I passed. I passed when I visit some friends across the bridge, and
Uh-huh.
now if you'd have to take the tunnel
So what
now.
happened was like a boat ran into it while it was down.
Well, that's the thing. Like it didn't lift, and yeah, the boat just either
Oh
did.
God.
Oh, actually, scratch that. No, the bridge. Sorry, I want to make sure. The bridge did not separate. Sorry, the bridge did not separate like this. It was just a bridge, but the boat crashed into it, and yeah, so
Oh, okay,
Superman
okay,
pulled.
okay. Got
Sorry,
it,
but
got it.
I forgot that it didn't separate, but essentially it was like a big bridge and like a boat just absolutely and caused again people are not happy about it, and it's going to take a
Oh
long
man.
time before it's rebuilt. So, and when I
Oh,
look
oh
back on this episode, I was saying, man, that's timely for me now. It's like where was
right.
Superman when we needed him for that one?
Oh God.
Anyway, okay, but this is great though, and this is from this scene is actually pulled from the John Byrne Bizarro comics, where he misinterpreted the bridge, tried to help it, and then obviously
Uh-huh.
So Superman swoops in, saves it at the last second. Bizarro,
This is a very
thinks like,
Spider-Man like save, right? It's very much like Spider-Man stopping the train almost.
oh yeah, at the last second. I love
Uh-huh.
the detail that he's trying to slow it down, but he uses the other hand to brace himself against. It's kind of like Captain
Yeah,
America with the
yeah, 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 yeah.
helicopter.
Again, the
It's a lot.
physics are just very satisfying.
It's a lot like Cap in the helicopter in Civil War, where he has like his hands holding one thing, he's holding the other thing. I kind of.
Uh-huh. For sure, for sure.
Anyway, so while he's doing that, Bizarro's like leave me alone. He's like Superman getting in the way of my saves here. What are you doing?
Oh, great. Now I'm ruining his day.
Great.
Another
So
solid contender for Daily Tim right there.
for sure, for sure. So it's 8 o'clock. Daily roof of the day thing. Which, by the way, we should call this with the aesthetic, the awesome, like the I forget if it's Air Deco or not, but it was like there was like another. It's not Art Deco, but it's not like Dark Deco for Batman Animated Series. Not Art Deco traditionally. There's a specific term for the Superman Animated Series style. I'm blanking on what the exact Deco version is. Let's call it Air Deco. Um, The roof of the Daily Planet unsafely smooth on one side.
Yeah. That's very
If you
true.
really
Very
look at it, there is, at least in this episode, there is no real roof. It's basically just like the curve. Like, it's an incredibly dangerous roof to stand on if you really look at it.
Oh man.
So she meets Superman on
Can
the
you
roof
imagine
here.
if the roof that Gordon and Batman met on had that design?
Yeah, it would have been like that scene from The Dark Knight where like he has to slide down the roof to save the side of the building to save Rachel. It only
Oh
would have been
man.
Gordon like, we gotta fix that roof. All right. So it's 8 p.m. Bizarro arrives to pick Lois up for the date, and just again, he very genuinely, is looking for. He needs Lois's help. He's trying to tell her, "I need help." It's kind of like the scene from his Silicon Soul, where Batman's like asking Alfred desperately for help, and Alfred's horrified.
Right.
Anyway, so then so she looks scared, and he's saying, "Me, like he would never threaten her," and like, which is great, just say, "Me never hurt Lois."
So, I mean, I feel like a lot of the episode's screen time so far, like we've gotten some pretty decent obviously some really cool Superman saves people scenes and some funny reactions from Clark Kent, but other than that, the episode has mostly been in Bizarro's POV. So now that we're taking Lois Lane into it, like I said, I really do think that Lois Lane does become the episode's main protagonist from this point forward. Would you
I
sign off
mean,
on
I would say she definitely is like she's our perspective going forward. Yeah, I would co-sign
that?
that.
Which I think is a really interesting and very effective choice on the writing part. I definitely think it paid off here.
So just an action beat we got to talk about, especially more heavy stuff. I'm sure you're gonna love. Um, Superman. So Superman shows up, and we have a great kind of another Daily Tim-esque kind of line here, where it says, "I heard about our date, Lois. Problem is, you made it with the wrong guy."
I, he's just there are so many good Superman one-liners in this episode. That's part of why I like it.
Yeah. So Bizarro, I love this. So Bizarro's like trying to protect Lois from the imposter. Like, he thinks that our Superman's the bad guy. He's trying to genuinely protect Lois, and I love this. So the big problem with Bizarro here is that Superman considers people and property damage, and this is something Bizarro does not have the mental capacity to do, and that causes problems. So he's charging at Superman here, and the planet of the Daily Planet comes off. Superman's got the world on his shoulders right now, so that, of course, Lois, she slips off the most dangerous building in Metropolis, apparently.
So my favorite detail about this whole thing with the Daily Planet globe is the fact that we don't even really see Superman actually catch it. We just see him like come back up with it and just weld it back into place, which
Yeah.
Superman just kind of gives a look to the camera like, God damn it, this has been a day. Enough with the heavy shit.
It's like Bob from The Incredibles. It's the whole thing where the train isn't going to kill him, but it's going to hurt, or he can lift.
Right.
It's like the lifting of things where he smash through the wall. Yeah, but then the building's going to come down. He can't just like smash things willy nilly. All right, so Bizarro saves Lois, which is, again, it's great that fundamentally at his core he is Superman. He's programmed to save
I love
Lois.
how the shot of Bizarro say like specifically him like catching Lois in midair, like that mirrors like so many iconic shots of Superman with Lois in his arms, saving her from falling,
and arms us with the information.
It's a very kind of like pulp iconography sort of shot, just in its own right.
Yeah, and it arms us with the information that, again, at his core, even if we know this guy is like clear as Bizarro Superman, clearly he's traditionally a villain, he fundamentally is Superman, which makes him infinitely more interesting. That at his core, there's our hero that we know and love in there. We can see it in play, and he is deluded into thinking he is the real guy. But it's basically it's like diluted Buzz from Toy Story 2 a lot with this guy, and I love that.
Sure.
So Superman does this as the real Superman reattaches the Daily Planet globe. We have the gag of Bizarro and Lois having their dinner date at a restaurant, where he crashed through the door. That's a Bizarro again, kind of like with the Bizarro logic. He's not using the door; he's just crashing through the walls like George Reeves Superman, but doesn't quite get why he does that. So he's just doing it with like every entrance. So even if there is a door. crashed to the side, got him a table, and like he's just eating all this food while they talking with his mouth full, like explaining, like, and there's this other Superman. He says he's a real Superman, but he's not.
Oh God.
And he says, but me, need Lois's help, and that's why I came to you, et cetera, et cetera. So she's interviewing him to learn what's going on, being a really good reporter and trying to navigate this potentially volatile situation. And again, your heart goes out to the guy. And Lois is clearly in kind of our POV kind of shot here, kind of our POV perspective right now. But she's you see her build like kind of a like would you say there's sympathy on her end for Bizarro? Like at
absolutely.
This juncture?
I mean, yeah, definitely, because I think she's pretty much putting the pieces together that whatever this thing is basically like a failed attempt at reproducing Superman, but he does have some of Superman's good qualities, but just without any of the actual common sense that Superman would have. Like, she gets it. I think she instantly picks up what the audience is picking up. That's what makes her a good audience surrogate character in this episode.
I like to think that she sees like this guy, he's a victim in all this, and she's trying to be sympathetic to that.
Yeah.
So he offers her food too, which is just funny. Like, I lost my appetite at my lunch, So she brings out the tape. Okay, admittedly, the tape recorder is a plot device. Let's just.
Totally. It's a gimme.
Superman needs some idea of where she's going. He's going to show up when there's like 2 minutes left in the episode. He has to know where he's going.
Right.
So the tape recorder. Right. He talks about the mountain in the lab, and he's just like, "You want me to show Lois?" And she says yes. And I love this guy. So this is a great like a fun Superman observation that we make fun of here. So Superman, when he flies people around and he crashes through walls while carrying people, if you look really carefully, he's using like a shoulder or his head as like a battering ram to do that safely. Now, Bizarro hasn't quite grasped the subtleties of that, so when he slows, says, "Can we use the door this time?" Had he used the wall, she would be dead. But using the door, it's like he's taking the bare minimum of the impact, and like she's still getting some of that. That's why she goes, "Ow!" She's like slamming into the door. It's just funny. There's tragedy, but there's also definitely a lot of comedy and dark comedy behind with Bizarro. He means well, but he's just, he's just kind of he's a little stupid.
Yeah, totally.
All right, let's see. So we go to the lab. Lois, she basically discovers these stasis pods with a whole army of Superman clones, which, by the way, years later, this episode kind of set the seeds for when they started doing the direct-to-video animated Superman movies. Superman Doomsday, the first stab at doing the death of Superman as an animated movie, had the cloning plot line in there. Did not have Bizarro, but had a cloning plot line, and they had like a whole setup just like this, and that's where they got it from.
Weirdly enough, these Superman clones also kind of remind me of the fucking clones of Snoke.
Yeah, this is where they got it.
The pickled Snokes.
Hey, remember JJ? Well, I guess technically that was Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know if you want to throw JJ in there. No, JJ did that super. He was about to make a Superman movie. He was doing that Superman.
No, you're right. He was. Yeah.
If memory serves, in fact, Brendan Fraser was considered for that movie.
Oh yeah.
Brendan Fraser, he put on the Christopher Reeve outfit. He auditioned. I don't think it was for Superman Lives. I think he auditioned for Flyby. But anyway. He looked really good in the suit, by the way, too. But I think it would have been what the Donner thing had, where you don't want a recognizable actor in the Superman costume. That's fundamentally that. And so far, we've kind of honored that. We've never really put a recognizable guy, not counting Nick Cage in that cameo in The Flash, in that suit.
Sure. Like, I mean, I'll say it before I say, but the only thing I know David Cordsweat's from was he was literally a sleazy porn movie theater operator in Pearl. Like, that's it.
And that's literally what got him the job, too, which is crazy.
Right.
Because when James Gunn thinks Superman...
yeah. That actually kind of checks out.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, so they discover the Superman clones is it's an oh my god moment. Who would do something? How could someone do something like this? And then we have this great reveal. Not someone, me. It's just Lex.
It's like the misfit, the Mrs. Finster, like, me!
Yep, or like the Charles Grodin, and me.
And me. Oh God.
Yeah,
Yes, that's better. That's a better example.
I was
Yes.
saying, just to go deep cut with it here, real quick. Muppet movie. Telly Savalas is in that. Lex's main influence in Superman animated series. Telly Savalas.
There we go. There we go.
And Telly Savalas almost had a cameo in the Donner Superman before Donner was involved in that project. So Telly Savalas was on people's minds with Lex. I was throwing it out there. Anyway, so we reveal, Lex has revealed his role in things here. Superman's investigating. He finds a recorder. He's heading to the mountain. He won't be there for the last 2 minutes of the episode. So back to our main character. Lex monologues. It's something occurred to me here. I wonder if you've had this with Lex, Tiki. Something that you might want to take note of going forward is that Lex is in a position where he could easily kill Lois Lane, but he doesn't kill because they had a relationship briefly. It's like he's always kind of hoping the worm will turn. And it's this thing where at the end, because the lab goes up in flames, essentially, because he's going to destroy the lab, he knows there's no evidence for her to prove that it's him. So he doesn't have to kill her. But if she had like a shred of evidence, I believe that he would try to kill her in this sense. It's always that tension of like Lex can be so again, it's like the explanation in James Gunn's Superman, the whole thing of like Superman knows Lex is going to kill him because why else would he be telling me all this? Like Lex monologues, and you should actually be terrified when Lex monologues because that might mean he's going to kill you.
Sure.
And he might have been thinking about doing it until he had to destroy the lab. And that's the chilling thing. You don't know with this Lex. You don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that for sure.
All right, so I love the continuity here. So we reveal with the cloning thing here. So with the continuity of Little Piece of Home, one of my favorites, the introduction of Kryptonite during the dinosaur fight in Little Piece of Home, Superman bled during the battle, during the encounter, and that's where he got the DNA from.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty neat. So he has this whole plan to create an army. Yeah. So he's got an army of Superman that he's trying to do like an army of Superman to do his bidding, and of course Bizarro is like the glitch that they have to deal with before they can perfect the others. And we have this like, but in me am Superman. Sorry, my friend, but you am toast. And he zaps the crap out of Bizarro and basically leaves him to die. So hits him with this electrical device, and he starts the auto destruct on the lab to cover his tracks. Anyway, so he's got 2 minutes on the clock, and roughly in the episode, it's like really like 3 minutes, but essentially, I like there's like pretty much 2 minutes left in the episode by this point too, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, but I mean, also you have to figure that like that extra minute is basically like the wrap up afterwards. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Really, it is pretty much in real time.
Yeah, so this is great. So Lex is like offering Lois a lift, like like the clock's ticking, Lois. Like you want to ride? You got to decide now. But this is something kind of refreshing because the real Superman can never do this to Lex. Like Bizarro grabs Lex and he's trying to get him because he just tried to kill him.
Right. Yeah.
Lab gets destroyed. He's blocking Bizarro again in his attempts here. He's being clumsy about it. He's blocking the entrance for everyone to leave to get his revenge on Lex, not realizing he's endangered Lois by doing this. He doesn't know there's a countdown clock.
Which is a really good setup for what ultimately is the resolution of the episode.
Oh, yeah. This is where all the good stuff happens, kids. And the stuff already was great. This is where the best stuff happens. So, in a fit of rage...
This ending is like genuinely probably the best ending of any episode of this show so far, I think.
I concur. I think it's like a top five.
It really sticks to landing, man. It's really quite powerful.
I get emotional. I get emotional when I rewatch the episode during this part. I really do. I still do.
I feel you.
So Superman enters in a fit of rage, and I love this too. Like looking at it here, so Bizarro, he says, "Me kill you," and this is really the perfect real Superman is the representation of every flaw within him. So he really is he hates himself, and that's why he's fighting Superman in this fit of rage. That's why he says, "Me kill you." It's not because Superman kills people. It's just like you're not real. I want you out of my life. Get out.
Right.
So Lex explains like the urgency of Superman is like a half kiloton explosive that is enough, I presume, to even destroy you. We should get out of here. A minute left in the episode, man. Lex, of course, he hightails it to the Superman like throws the table out of the exit. Lex he leaves to save his own skin along with the scientist. Then we have our big moment here. Okay, Superman tosses Bizarro into the chamber, like all the clones, which is like, yeah, all the amniotic fluid and gunk.
Right, right. I
Poor
wasn't sure
Bizarro.
just how far we were gonna go with the clone stuff, man. I was like, because if the Clayface animators would have gotten their hands on it, it would have been a lot more nasty.
TMS would have, yeah, but also there's
Yeah,
some there's some.
they would have pushed it.
Well, you got to remember too, though, is a whole thing of like how detailed can you get if you did have him melting. Like you'll notice the color. That was how they were able to get away with it. They did the color cheat where he's like still orange or something for some reason, because of the fluid, I guess. On the
Mhm.
basically, it looks like if they look like mannequins, it's okay. So, but I felt bad. I always felt this is just me loving Bizarro. I always felt bad for poor Bizarro gets all the gunk like spilled on him. you know.
God.
So Superman unblocks the entrance. Everyone runs for the hills. Lois has her legs pinned while Superman's battling Bizarro here, and then we have the MVP moment of the whole episode. Great moment. Basically, the daily Tim for the Bizarro side of things here. So, um, Bizarro sees the error of his ways. There's like a minute left on the clock. He witnesses Superman stopping the fight to save Lois, and he just has this moment of realization: Superman save Lois, and it's like he's realizing I'm not doing that right now. And then he's had this great money shot too, like the fire and the clones behind him, where he's kind of that's his realization visually that I am a clone. I'm not Superman. It's like you're a toy, you can't fly kind of what he's kind of realizing.
No, it really is though. It really is the "I will go sailing no more" moment for him, for
Yeah.
sure.
So the roof is this is a great Superman problem to have, and this list goes into your lifting heavy things thing, by the way. I love these problems for Superman that make him interesting. We kind of saw this in the Live Wire episode when he was trying to save the crane operator that didn't like him. So Superman, he only has two hands, okay? He can't save Lois and get her out of there and hold the roof up at the same time. So Superman is really screwed right now. This is bad. And then Bizarro shows up. He says, "Me hold, you go. Me no am Superman. You am Superman." Then we have there's the Daily Tim on the Bizarro side. He says, "Superman save Lois."
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
This music always guts me emotionally. It guts me in all the right ways. Where we have he's holding up the roof, and we play like we give Bizarro the heroic, the kind of warped yet heroic theme where Lois's last line is "You are a hero," and you have that goofy smile on Bizarro's face. That's his iron.
I know the smile, dude. Oh man.
Like this is the Iron Giant moment. The whole
Totally.
you
Totally.
you stay, no following Superman. All of that is kind of in this ending here, where just that smile and then kaboom, just huge, biggest explosion we've had yet in the show. Big, huge. And we have our little coda here. So Lois is like talking to Superman, asking like if do you think he survived? And Superman says, "Well, I've never been in a half kiloton blast before, but I hope so. I mean, he turned out to have a good heart." And Lois kind of coming in with like, "Well, he came from good stock," which is a perfect ending. Just
Yeah,
chef's
it's
kiss.
a nice little, like you said, it's a coda. It's a nice little punctuation at the end.
Yeah,
All right, but no, I mean seriously, man, we're really in a good stretch so far this season because this just really went out of its way to kind of give Tim Daly something really out of his comfort zone to play with, and I think he nailed it.
yeah.
And not only that, but again, this is probably the best Lois episode, one of the best Lex episodes so far. Yeah, very happy with it all the way around. Definitely a unique take on a familiar premise.
Yeah, yeah. Easily, it's always hard to rank like where my favorite Superman episodes are, but this has always been like one, if not the favorite, it's in the top five. Man, I've always loved the Identity Crisis episode. I love Bizarro. This is always like now. We may or may not see Bizarro again, but admittedly, had we never seen him again, this is like the testament to that character. This is like the Bizarro episode. Tells you everything you need to know about him. It's like not leaning on him like a crutch. I'm not saying we do that, but we're not doing that here for sure. It's just a great, it's great. It's not just like a fun, like one, it's just as a kid, it's like seeing your character, the evil opposite of your character, is almost like mandatory. It's always like seeing, like, it's like good Spock, evil Spock, like from Star Trek, or it's always like the
Oh, it's very
inverted.
similar to that. Yeah.
You always got to do like the evil version of the character, at least at some point. It's like in Buzz Lightyear Star Command, there was the evil Buzz Lightyear episode, which was in parody of the Star Trek goatee thing and everything. But that's the
SpongeBob
thing.
and Doodle Bob.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of there's a convention in shows. Again, they have Batman, Hard Act Batman. You always have like the the evil twin episode. So this is like a perfect kind of as like surface level, we have that going for it, but really fundamentally, this episode celebrates through Bizarro the elements we love about Superman, and just seeing how Superman can inspire people, even people who are designed to either replace him or be kind of an opposite to him. Also, ultimately, it's just kind of great that that the core programming of Superman's good existed and made this guy like a hero at the end. It's just a beautiful testament to everything Superman's about, and it's an entertaining episode, and the writing's solid. It's just it's to the T's, man. It's great, or to the S's, I should say.
For sure. All right, Kokias was in the chat. I'll shout out a couple of his comments here. He says, Critters is my favorite episode of the new Batman Adventures. It's definitely pretty good, for sure. Let's see. He says, at least we got Nicolas Cage in The Flash, so everything worked out. Yeah, I guess so. And then he says Brendan Fraser would have been a really good Superman, which, yeah, I could see it. Like, back in his golden day. But like Dragon said, though, I think the problem is that by that point he was just too recognizable at the same time. So
the reason Stallone didn't become Superman, it's like it's too recognizable. Like, he was in contention, it's like you don't want.
Brendan Fraser played like Dark Knight Returns Superman later on.
Oh, he would be great for that, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. I'll throw that out there.
Because that's a recognizable Superman you can get away with for that one.
Right, yeah. All right, so Dragon, cue us up. What's next?
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman! Saving falling reporters more than usual. Superman! Investigating death traps and death threats. Superman saving Lois Lane from a mystery stalker.
On the next visit to the Fortress of Recaps with Target. Don't ask me, I just catch him.
Superman saved Lois.